of new to the area. I've lived here like 4 years or so. And I am married to Jeremy, and we have 4 kids and a 5th on the way. And I thought I'd kind of describe each of us in our family, like, according to the topic we're dealing with, so that we can all feel like we know. Not all of us live in homes where everyone's tidy. Most of us probably have maybe 1 or 0 people in our home who are naturally organized. So I'll explain my family quick, and I'm hoping you guys will be able to resonate a little bit with that, and then we'll dig into the topic after that. So Jeremy and I have been married 11 years this May, and I was born like the type that's tidying and keeping organized is fun for me. It's just naturally in me. And he's the exact opposite. So we're a perfect pair because I needed to go towards his pendulum and he needed to come towards me to make a good pair. So it's easy for me to keep things organized and tidy, but very good for me to realize that that's not easy for everyone. So, but to also know that it's something you can learn just like with anything in life. So an example would be like when I was little, I would like dread when company was coming over because I would make my bed perfectly straight. And like, I loved having friends over, but I just felt like when they left, I'd have to like redo everything, which is horrible too. It's like a perfectionist thing. But Jeremy, on the other hand, his mom's told me stories. She would go into his room to like tidy it up for company or something, and it would be like elevated off the floor because he truly tried to clean his room, but he would just shove it under, and then it would be like off the floor. And so we're opposites, which is great. But okay, then we have Aaliyah. She's 8 years old, 2nd grade. The perfect babysitter, and probably the reason we keep having babies, because she just is the sweetest, oldest child ever. And she was just born a tidier too, like when she was little, I don't know if any of you have kids who, you're like, oh my gosh, they're picking that up without me even asking. Thank you, God, I'm so glad I have helped her. So she was that one, the perfect firstborn. So that's all I'll say about her. Our next is Avalon, who is the fun one in the family, and we need her so much, and I'm so glad she's not tidy and organized because it would be so boring if we all were. I truly believe that. But she's a lot like her dad. It just takes me a lot more time to train her how to do anything. Just like, put your coat there, honey. Normal things that like she'd have to know at school. So, just like polar opposite of my first daughter, I guess. Brecken is our son. He's 5.5 now, and he's like probably a mix between the 2 girls, and he's your typical 5-year-old boy. When he's focused on one thing, he's really focused. But if he's not ready to focus on like listening to organization stuff or putting dishes away, he's in La La Land sword fighting or whatever. So we'll see how he pans out. And then let's see, my 1-year-old Avea, we don't know about her yet, obviously. She's perfect and can do no wrong. But just today, as I was like thinking about what I was going to say, I see her, we have a little bin with her diapers. She's really good at, I don't know if any of your kids did this, take every single diaper out and just love it. It's having so much fun, and it doesn't make me mad because it's so cute. But then she also knows, like, then she has fun putting them back too. So I think most kids are that way at that age. And then same with like today, she also did the toilet paper roll thing, before I can catch her, like while I'm getting dressed. But then she like tried to put it back. So I don't know. She could go either way, and I'm fine with that. It doesn't bother me that we're all different. I just think if we have a desire to be better at something, we can. And I'm really all for like when I married my husband, he thought if you're a certain way, you couldn't become another way. And so I'm all for, if you have a desire to learn about what I'm talking about, you so can, even if it's not natural for you. Because I've seen it in my own kids, and it's just fun. So, okay, so we've lived here 4.5 years, about 4 years, and I'm going to skip a little bit. When we moved here, we decided to move here like really quickly. So my husband and his brother own a couple businesses together just around town. And they travel a lot, so I'm kind of, any of you that have traveling hubbies or single moms, good job. It's hard to do, but it's rewarding too, because it just makes you feel empowered. So he's a traveling hubby, and but when we moved here, we had to move kind of quick. We made the decision quickly. So I had 3 criteria for a home that we're going to buy, and that was it needed to be in the hills or in the trees, which is not common. And I didn't know this area. We're from Rapid City, South Dakota, so I didn't know really much about it. So I needed that. What else did I need? I wanted ceilings high enough for our huge Christmas tree. I think it's 15 feet. So I was like, I know this is so dumb, but I was serious about these things. And then the third was, it was February when we were moving. So the third, my husband had just made me this beautiful farmhouse table, huge. I think that one's 10 feet long. And so I'm like, we need a dining room that'll fit that huge table. Those are the 3 things I cared about. And it was February. Honestly, not many houses were for sale at the time. And the first house we saw that fit those, we bought that week basically. And it ended up, it's in Lind near Annie. I'm so thankful God brought us near Annie. But, and near Camden. We had no clue we were near Camden State Park, if any of you know that area. So
I live in Lind.
Do you too? So we don't regret buying it, but it was definitely a quick buy. And but as we're packing up, we realized the square footage of the new house we're moving into was about a third the size of our previous house. We had lived in our dream home, we were young and we thought we wanted this huge house, 3 stories, and I think there were 6 or 7 bedrooms. And we already bought the house here, and I'm like, shoot, 2/3 of our furniture isn't going to fit in this new house. We didn't have dressers in our prior house because it had nice closets for everything, so we had no dressers. So long story short, we got rid of 2/3 of our belongings to move here. And probably a few months into living here, I realized we don't need that. I don't miss one thing we left behind. And so that's where the word simplify kind of came into my life, and I just started to dwell on that and think about that and think about what we really need and what we really want and how much richer my life was here than in my previous home because of things. And so that was my super long intro to today's topic. And I know on the sheet it says, what does it say it's labeled? Organizing chaos. So that's a fine topic and all, or heading, but as I was preparing, I was like, that just sounds so harsh. I don't want these ladies leaving being like, if I don't get my crap together, my life is a mess, and I suck, and I better, it just sounded like dictator, like Nazi, so I'm like, we're going to change this topic in your mind to simplify, because that just seems like a more gentle way of introducing this process in our lives, and it makes me feel like it can be a process for you. You don't have to have this perfectly organized home after I talk to you tonight. It's just about simplifying life, and then, I just I've never talked on this subject before, so that's why I switched the name last minute. I just thought, if I ever speak on this again, it's going to be simplify instead of organized chaos. So, it's just a nicer word. Okay, so, simplify, defined, means to make something simpler to do, or to make, simplify means to make something simpler to do or simpler to understand. So for us, it means we're trying to make our lives simpler to do or simpler to understand. And then another definition was, simplifying means to make something less complex or less complicated. And I'm guessing a lot of you would like that in some area of your life. And so today I'm going to dig into obviously why simplifying our home is important. And just know, take whatever nugget you want today and don't feel like you need to carry everything I'm saying, because if it's heavy to any of you, that means it's not meant for you right now in this phase of your life. And I'll just say that for now. So, intentionally simplifying creates a beautiful space for us to live in and time to enjoy only the things we love. So I'm going to say that again. Intentionally simplifying creates a beautiful space to live in and time to enjoy only the things we love. And confronting our possessions head on brings physical change, shows us what we love, who we are, and what we value. And so that's going to be different for all of us. And that's great too. So I'm going to read that other one more time. Confronting our possessions head on brings physical change, shows us what we love, who we are, and what we value. Okay, so now I'm going to do a cheesy little exercise, and I want you to close your eyes. And so I want you each to visualize one room in your home. We're just going to do one room today, because obviously we'd all love our homes to be look like a vacation home. I always try to visualize that. Like, how could I make this room a vacation home? But just pick one room that you feel is a chaos room in your home that you would love to turn into a haven. And you'd love to tidy up. And I want you to imagine everything that's on the walls. Could be pictures, could be shelves. If it depends on the room you picked, I guess. But and then imagine everything that's on the floor. I know in a lot of our homes there's paperwork everywhere. That's like the never-ending battle. There might be toys piled up. There could be laundry. There could be food. Just truly try to picture every detail in that room. And now I want you to, while your eyes are closed, visualize how that room would look if you were staging it to rent as like a vacation home. Or if you were looking at that room as a potential buyer, like someone who wanted to feel invited into that room. And what would you do what would you change in that room on the walls, on the counters, and on the floor? So keep them closed for a minute and just kind of soak that in, I guess. For me, in my room, there would be not much on counters besides things that I thought were beautiful. I'm a floor person, so there would be nothing on the floors, I don't think. And for me, I don't like much on the walls other than the things that bring me joy in that season of my life. I used to love hanging pictures everywhere, and that started to feel heavy to me, so I put all the pictures in an album, and I decided to only leave up the pictures that were bringing me life and joy during that time in my life. So, okay, you can open your eyes if you haven't already, sorry. So that was fun and all, but I want to kind of walk you mentally through how you can turn a room in your house into just like a haven. And believe it or not, once you do one room, like when I moved here, it was like so life-giving that I wanted to just slowly just turn each room of my house into a haven. And for each of us, that means something different. Like I have a friend who, she loves trinkets. They bring her joy. And so her house is going to have a lot more in it than my house. But the key is to know what you have, to love what you have, and to be able to find what you have, really. Otherwise, you don't know what you have. Okay, so I could go on forever on this because it's something I love, but I'm just going to go into three pieces of advice on how we can simplify our homes, and I'll just kind of reiterate them so that they're always in your mind when you're at a place in your life where you want to do this to your home. So, number one, if it's beautiful to you or useful, you can keep it. So that's always in my mind. It's like, is that beautiful? And maybe to someone in your family as well. So if it's beautiful to you or useful to you, you can keep it. And, only keep things you confidently love. So I've helped a lot of friends in this community and like my sister, just random people through my life, just like, because it's fun for me, I've helped them do this in their homes, and I can tell immediately what they confidently love, what they're like, don't you dare touch that. That is something that means so much to me or my husband or my kids, and I love it. I love when they know what is meant to stay in their home, and I love it. But I can also tell I can see immediately when I ask them about an item if they love it, if they confidently love it. I can tell when they question it. So only keep things you confidently love. And this is another huge one when I've helped friends. Never keep things out of guilt or fear. So I was helping a girlfriend clean out just like her living room, and she has 3 little boys, so she has toys everywhere, and we were trying to get them out of sight and only pick the ones that she loved. And almost every toy for her, she felt guilt because someone she loved had given that toy to one of her kids. And so, like for example, she held up a toy and said, "My mom just gave this to my son this Christmas." And I looked at her in the face and I said, does your son play with it? And she said, "No." And I said, "Have you tried to offer it to him to make him play with it?" She goes, "All the time, and he won't play with it." So we talked it through, and she realized she got rid of it. And she is like, "Well, what if my mom asks about it?" And I'm like, you can keep your mom's burden on yourself by carrying all these things in your home, but if you don't love it and it's not being used, you could end up accumulating thousands of items in your home out of guilt from what someone else might think. So that's a big one, guilt. And then fear. Fear is a good one so never keep things out of fear. This one's a hard one because I know people that I've helped that they'll keep a lot of kitchen items because, well, what if I host a big group? And what if I need this? And I'm like, okay, have you used it in the last 2 years? Have you used this huge serving bowl in the last 2 years? And if they say yeah, then I'm like, then keep it, or whatever time frame you want to use. But I think there's a fear that we may need items sometime, and so we hang on to it, and we don't trust that if I really need that item, I will either be able to afford it at the time that I need it, or I can borrow it. But if I have, again, hundreds, thousands of items in my home that I'm holding on to in case I need them someday, and I haven't needed them since the day I got them, what's the point of having it hang around? So never keep things out of guilt or fear, and then choose items that add value to your life. So recap, number 1 was if it's beautiful to you or useful, definitely keep it. Number 2, everything must have a home, or go ahead and rehome it. Or check it. If you wouldn't want to get, my friend that I just helped, she was telling me she didn't want to get rid of these broken toys, so I should bring them to Goodwill. And I was like, would you want someone to give you a broken toy? I'm going to check this. And she agreed. So anyway, I feel like a lot of us it's hard to give up things that maybe used to be nice and aren't anymore. So, okay, so if everything must have a home or rehome it. This means everything should have a bin, shelf, or cupboard to go to sleep in. And we say that at our house just because most nights we actually go to sleep with our house really, really tidy. And it feels so good to wake up just to a fresh, nice, clean house and a fresh day. And not everything's perfect in our home, but my kids and my husband, we all have places for our things, and we put them away before bed. If there isn't room for it to be out of sight, it needs to be rehomed. And obviously, some things are always going to be in sight. We all have different preferences on what we think is beautiful to leave out on counters and shelves and walls, so I never want anyone to think their home has to be like mine with minimal everything. But whatever is out on display, I think should be lovely and bring joy to your home. Okay, part of this one of everything having a home is just teaching your family where things live. And so for example, my kids, since we didn't have dressers, they have those they're like, have you seen those pieces of furniture? It's like a cube that fits 4 bins in it. So that's what we bought when we moved here, just because it worked for our space. And each of my kids has 4 bins for all their things. Anything that they love and find valuable. Toys, art, that's all each of my kids have. And they can throw it, I don't make them organize it, but they know that those 4 bins have my things in them and no one else can mess with them. And let's see, we also have that same system with my kids' clothes. So they have a 4-cube thing for their clothes, and 1 bin's meant to be for socks and undies. If it's not, if they randomly throw jammies in there, it's fine. But so we have 1 sock and undie bin, 1 jammy and like sweats, whatever, cozy bin, 1 t-shirt bin, and 1 pants bin. And my kids just know that, and they're responsible to put their own stuff away every day. They can chuck it in however they like, but the awesome thing is it's out of sight, and they still feel like they're empowered to own their own things. So, let's see, my kids. Okay, so when these bins get too full, like Christmas, birthdays, holidays, you get new stuff. Like, my kids know, okay, we gotta make, like at Christmas this year, my 8-year-old's like, Mom, should I make room in my bin before Christmas or after? Like, cause she was like anticipating all these presents, you know, and I'm like, you do whatever you want, but in our house, we've chosen that once those bins get too full to fit new stuff, if you get something new, then you get a gift something of yours to fit your new fun item. So like, if my son just got a bunch of new pants, and because his other ones were too short, so it was already time to regift him anyway, but we had to get rid of the old ones to fit the new ones in, and he was excited about sharing his old pants with someone who needed them. So, and then just quick side note, we're planning to build onto our house just because we keep having kids. And our house is small enough that we love hosting people, and all of our people have kids. And in the winter months, you know, here it's so bitter that you need an indoor space. So we want to build onto our house, but we have no intention of giving our kids more storage for toys or clothes during this addition, and no intention of building like storage space. Oh, that's one thing I didn't mention. Our house has no storage. There's like 2 broom closets. So in our purging process and learning to simplify, it was like I became a believer in you don't need storage. So anyway, that's another subject. Okay, so number 2 was everything must have a home or rehome it. And number 3 is my last point, but it's on teaching and training ourselves and our family. So, is anyone in here a teacher? Yay, teachers. Tell me if I'm wrong. But I picked my kindergartner's teacher's brain on this subject, and I'm like, how the heck do you keep your classroom like this? Like every day, you don't leave toys, you don't leave stuff everywhere. How do you get 20 kids to hang up their backpacks every day? You know, like that. And she told me like, well, especially for kindergartners, she's like, it takes a long time, you know, like patience and just repetition of showing them where things go. And so anyway, I like to keep it in my mind. Okay. Okay, so teachers, you treat this as your job. And I don't know if you'd be fired if you left your classroom a catastrophe every day, but for some reason, I don't think you probably do leave it. Like, are you allowed to leave, like, paint out and stuff? Okay, so, but you guys can't physically do that. And even in, my kids go to Linden, there's only like 12 kids per classroom. I couldn't physically do that for even 12 kids, and I know some of you guys have way more students than that. So,